All right, we're almost done with this chapter of review. Now, we're going to finish off with the absolute value. Now, I know a lot of people think of absolute value and they say, hey, it's always positive, that's my answer. But I want you to understand absolute value more than that. Absolute value is actually the distance a value is from zero. Think about distance. If you go home, you drive whatever, let's say 5 miles. If you come back here, you still drive 5 miles. You don't go negative miles. If you get on the treadmill, if you run forwards or you turn around and run backwards, it doesn't matter. You're still running a positive mileage. Distance is always positive. There are no negatives on a ruler. So when we're talking about absolute value, we're talking about a distance a number is from zero. So if we look here, we have absolute value. Remember those lines. The lines are straight up and down, and whatever's inside we're finding the absolute value of. So we're finding the absolute value of -5. So if I look at my number line, I have a 0, and then -5 is right here. And so if we look at what is the distance from -5 to 0, think about it. If you're standing here on the number line, and you have to walk to 0, how far are you going to walk? You're going to walk a unit of 5. And so the absolute value of -5 is 5. Now if we look at the next one, it says the absolute value of 5. So I put 5 on the number line, and if you are standing here and you're going to walk to 0, you would still walk 5. So the absolute value of 5 is 5. Now we're going to take it farther though, and we're going to actually solve these equations. So if you look at this next equation right here, I've got the absolute value of x. So some number, the absolute value equals 5. So let's look at what does that mean. That means that there is some number that is 5 away from 0. So it's 5 that way, and it's 5 that way, somewhere. Well, what number is that? What number is 5 here? It'd be at 5. What number is at 5 here? It'd be a -5. So we actually get two answers. We get the x equals 5, and we get the x equals -5. Now you could write it like this, or you could be lazy, like most mathematicians, and write it with a plus or minus. And that just means that you have a +5 and you have a -5. So if we look at this next problem where the absolute value of x is -5, it's saying, okay, you're at 0. Now something is -5 away from 0, which is actually impossible. This is a no solutions problem. You cannot have a negative distance, unfortunately, because like my car's going to go out of warranty soon, but I can't do anything about it because I can't go a negative distance to get it mileage down so it doesn't go out of warranty. So let's actually do some problems here. And how does that relate? Now what's going on here is it's more than just an x. We've got 2x minus 5, and it's saying it's 9 away from 0. Let's look at the number line and what that means. So we have something that's at 9 and at -9. Now what's at 9 and -9 is what's inside. 2x minus 5 is at 9, and 2x minus 5 is at -9. I'm not going to make you do the number line, but it is really useful if you struggle with this to actually do that number line, because now I can use the number line and write my equation. If we look, I have this right here, and I can write that equation as saying 2x minus 5 equals -9. And then I have this equation right here, and it says 2x minus 5 equals a +9. Now we've talked about this in the past. When you learned this in algebra, we said, hey, just take what's inside. It equals a +9, it equals a -9, and solve. But I really want you to look at why. Look at this number line and think about what does that mean. It means that this is 9 away from 0. And so it's at 9 and it's at -9, and that's where we get these two equations. Then we go ahead and solve just like you would solve two different equations. We don't worry about the other one as we solve it. So 2x equals, let's see if I can do some math here, -4. Divide by 2, x equals -2. Then I go over here and add 5 to both sides. 2x equals 14. Divide by 2, x equals 7. Now you'll notice at the very top in red it says always check your answers. I don't mean to actually write something down. I just mean to check it. So let's look at -2. -2 times 2 is -4. -4 minus 5 is -9. The absolute value of -9 is 9. So that one pans out. That works. Okay, then we look at the next one. We got 7. 7 times 2 is 14 minus 5. 14 minus 5 is 9. The absolute value of 9 is 9, so that one works out also. So we have two answers. We have x equals -2, and we have x equals 7. Next problem. Now we're looking at being 15 away. So we're at +15 and at -15. And what's inside would be 6x minus 3. and 6x minus 3. Those are the things that are at those spots. So my two equations, 6x minus 3 equals negative 15, and 6x minus 3 equals a positive 15. And then we go ahead and solve. Add 3, 6x equals 18, divide by 6, x equals 3. Go over here and add 3 to both sides. 6x equals 18. Divide by 6. X equals, oh no, what did I do wrong? I did math wrong over there, didn't I? Why didn't anybody tell me that? So over here, negative 15 plus 3 is negative 12. Oh, let's see if I can erase. Oh, good deal. All right, go back. Negative 15 plus 3 equals negative 12. Divide that by 6, we get negative 2. All right, so we've got negative 2, plug that in, we get negative 12, minus 3 is negative 15, absolute value equals 15. We plug in 3 up here for x, 3 times 6 is 18, 18 minus 3 is 15, absolute value 15 is 15. So we've got our two answers here. And the last problem I'm going to do here, notice that it's not right away all absolute value. We've got a little straggler here. We've got to move that straggler over before we can use the absolute value. We're not ready to talk about number lines. So we add 3 to both sides so that I have an absolute value equals 10. And now I know that something is 10 away. It's at a positive 10, it's at a negative 10. We've got 2x and we've got 2x. So I've got two equations, 2x equals negative 10. And 2x equals 10. Divide by 2 on both sides, x equals negative 5. Divide by 2 on both sides, x equals 5. And so we've got our two answers of negative 5 and 5, and I suppose we better check them. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. The absolute value of negative 10 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. And then we try that out with the 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Absolute value of 10 is 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. So that works.